apologies, and welcome to Book 101. Book 101 is all about the books that I read for the last 40 years. And today, I have my special guest. She is a best-selling author, no other than Miss Tina Baker. So, can you please introduce yourself?
Well, I'm a British author. I have been writing for all my life, pretty much since being at school, but writing thriller and crime novels for the last 6 years. My current hardback is called, well, no, it's not called Call Me Mummy. It's Make Me Clean. I had to think then. So I've been editing my fourth book today. So my mind is completely shredded. The one that's just out is Make Me Clean, and it's the story of a cleaner who may or may not clean up more than dust and grime, may clean up blood. So I'm not a dark person, as in I write quite dark crime thrillers, but I write a lot of humour. And my background's in journalism. I was on British morning television for about 30 years, and I always wrote for magazines, and I always wanted to write a novel. And of course, by the time my first novel came out, all the bookshops were closed because it was locked down. But I've persevered and done quite well, and I love it. I mean, it's hard work, but I love writing. I really do.
Your passion. So, Miss Tina, what is the big difference of being a journalist and broadcaster and turn as an author?
Well, the truth is, if you're writing as a journalist these days, the words get smaller and smaller and the pictures get bigger and bigger. So even my longest feature when I was interviewing people, it's quite short. So the biggest difference is the word count. So I went back to school and did an MA in novel writing at City University in London. And it's a different discipline. It's self-imposed deadlines, a lot of it, because when you start out writing 101, really you don't know if it's going to sell, you don't know if you're going to get an agent. So you have to make the time. And nearly all the writers I know have got day jobs. So my day job is as a fitness instructor. I'm quite old to be doing that, but I teach a lot of people with older bodies like my own. So I've got a very physical day job, and then I tend to write around that. So I don't know many people. If you're really lucky, you might earn enough money to be a full-time writer. But most of us, even if you're successful, you need another source of income because you don't get paid regularly. And unless you sell it worldwide, unless you sell your book, perhaps TV or film rights, you're not going to get the mega books.
Yes, definitely. So, how does it feel that you won a celebrity fit club?
Yeah, I don't know if they have it all the way around the world, but I know they have it in America. So Celebrity Fit Club, by dint of me doing breakfast television, I got a widescreen bum. So I watched a lot of television, and my first job was like being a television critic. Although I was one of the nice ones, I was funny about things rather than being horrible about things. But I sat down a lot. And of course, now I'm still sitting down a lot writing. It changed my life, Daniel, because my mum had died the week they rang me to go on the programme. She died of a heart attack. She was 70, but she died before her time of a heart attack. And my dad died of lung cancer. And he was morbidly obese, very, very fat. So it was in my family. So losing weight and keeping fit also helps my mental health. So does writing. I think a lot of us are stressed in modern life. even without a pandemic, even without a cost of living crisis. A lot of us struggle. So I try and write, and I try and keep physically moving. And I think both of those things really help.
Yes, very well said, Miss Tina. So, what age did you realize that you are good in writing?
When I was at school at 5, and one of my poems was put up on the wall, and it was such a big achievement. So, my background, I was bullied quite a lot when I was very, very young because we lived in a caravan. So, I've heard the phrase trailer trash. I've heard the phrase, gypsies, said in a very derogatory way. So, my dad was a window cleaner, and my mum was from a fairground, so a carney. And she got pregnant with my dad, with me, and both sides sort of didn't like each other. So we ended up in a caravan, very, very poor. So when I went to school, I had earrings when I was 4. So at that era, people didn't really have earrings that young, and I got into fights, people tried to pull them off, da-di-da. So when I got a poem on the wall at school, I felt like the queen of the world. I was so happy. And literally ever since, I've loved writing. I just didn't think I could earn a living doing it. So my background, I'm quite practical, but then I've got this romantic idea of what a writer is, what an author is. And I've always been a really keen reader. And my local library, I mean, we couldn't really afford many books, but my local library was like a portal into a different world, and I loved it. And my mum was very encouraging because she didn't learn to read or write properly. Because she was on the fairgrounds, they moved around a lot, and schooling was very sporadic. And my dad had to leave school, even though he was quite bright, because his dad had died and he needed to be the man of the family in that era to earn a living. So both of them really rated education. And even if you don't like school, it's really got its place. I would never have achieved very much, I don't think, in life unless I'd really worked hard at school. I sound like a right swat, but I really believe it. I
Yes.
really believe it.
Yes. So, who encouraged you to do your writing?
Well, my mum and dad, the teachers, the school children, my friends, some of them were swats, but there was a big group of kids at my school who really gave you a hard time if you liked school. It wasn't cool to like school. Luckily, I was a bit of a tomboy and a bit of a scrapper, and I got into loads of fights about this. And you think that's daft, but a lot of the lads would give me a really hard time and make fun of me because I used to do my homework. I used to love writing essays, and it wasn't that era or that working class background. I got into quite a few fights, physical fights about that. And looking back, that seems insane. Why would people start hitting you because you liked writing? I remember I entered a competition in Britain years ago for Cadbury's chocolate. It was just a chocolate company. And there was a big physical fight over that. And they were really sneering and hitting me because I'd had the gall to enter a competition. It's mad, isn't it, that?
Yes, definitely. So, who are the authors that you influence you the most?
Well, when I was studying, I loved D.H. Lawrence because he came from a working class background. And, Sons and Lovers was from the mining community. So in Britain, in the Midlands, I'm from a town originally called Colville. So it's not like a Dickens Coke town, if you've ever read Dickens and it's Hard Times. It's an actual place, and it's one of those old-fashioned pit towns, and all the pits are finished now. So I've just finished reading Barbara King's Lovers. demon Copperhead, and that's set in the American Appalachian Mountains, and it's a similar community, dirt poor, what some people disparagingly call crackers, the white poor. And that's my background. So any writer who wrote working class characters, in modern day, Irving Welsh, who did Train Spotting, the Booker Prize winner, Shuggie Bain, Douglas Stewart, who I am proud to say follows me on Twitter, and I follow him.
Let's talk about your latest book, Make Me Clean. How did you craft it?
Well, it's bums on seats. It's sitting there and writing, and even when you're tired, doing a little bit. So that's my biggest tip. It's even if you don't feel you've got like a great imagination, it's just do it. And I'm not a plotter, really. A lot of my writing comes through an idea of a character. And one of my favorite television shows was Breaking Bad. And I thought, what if a basically good person got involved in something that was that grey area? So it starts off with a woman burying a body in a back garden. And you think, how's she come to that? And then she's cleaning up the mess. And you find out through the novel that this horrible old man has died and there's been a fight. And you discover that the cleaner has been looking after this old lady with Alzheimer's. And it's whether or not it's a bad thing she has done or the bad thing is covering it up. And it gets darker from there. It's quite a dark start, but it gets darker. And it is that idea of good people doing bad things, like Breaking Bad. A very good man, a teacher, broke bad and got involved in drugs. And this cleaner, by trying to protect the people she loves, gets involved in very bad things. And I do believe, this sounds horrible, but most of us, put in the right circumstance, could kill. You would kill to save your life or somebody else's life. Or it could be an accident. Or drink or drugs, or road rage. So I think don't cast the first stone and think I would never do that, because in the right horrible circumstances, I think any of us could snap and do that.
Definitely, indeed. Make Me Clean. What behind the title of your latest book?
Well, it's, for me, there's a lot of me in all of my characters I've written, and the cleaner, Maria, I've been a cleaner. My dad was a window cleaner. My mum, when she married my dad, wasn't on the fairground anymore. We cleaned the floors of supermarkets. So I started work after school when I was 13, and we cleaned floors. And I know how people deal with cleaners. And you think about it, if you're well off enough to have a cleaner in your home's going to be so much better than the cleaner's home. The cleaner will get very little money. And somebody coming into your home might know all your secrets. So that's one of the starting points for me for the book.
Oh, yes, interesting. And according to Miss Emily Queen, another perfect dark thriller from this author. So, what are the elements that you put in the story that make your story dark?
Well, I think the whole topic of murder and covering up murder and moral dilemmas, and also, the grimness of the day to day. If you are a cleaner or you've got one of those jobs where society doesn't really support you. But also, I really like dark humor. So that's something from journalism. If you are in a newsroom and you are bombarded by horrible stories, and every single day there are horrible stories. You can't get away from the news being vile. It's always been like that. You know, there's always murders and deaths and war and famine and destruction. In a newsroom, as a journalist, you have to find something to cope with that. And that's often humor. And journalists will often make very gallows humor jokes quite soon after an event. I'm not in that world anymore because I found it really tough, even though I was more on the showbiz side. So, you know, soap stars and television stars and, you know, what we were watching on the television. So it wasn't that toxic. But even in that world, it's like people making fun of other people. You know, as a woman on television, you are always analysed. You're either too fat, you're too thin, you've either had Botox or you look too old, your hair's a mess. And often those comments on Twitter or Instagram are from other women. So that's quite hard as well. So the only way to deal with that is to laugh at it. So in all of my writing, it's trying to make fun of myself and make light of a situation. And sometimes I think it's a coping mechanism. I think you've got to have a laugh, quite frankly. Otherwise, we're all doomed. We're all doomed.
Yes, laughter is the best medicine, people. That's why I'm inviting you to listen to my other podcast, Comedy 101, with
Yes.
Mr. Mike Lucas. So, this podcast is Empower Comedian, and we're gonna teach you how to laugh. Oh, yes.
It's life-saving, isn't it? Laugh. And you can't really fake it either. I mean, I've just been obsessed with Succession, you know, the HBO series, and that's very dark humor and very sharp humor, but I've loved it. And it's very uncomfortable as well. And we've just had the finale over here in Britain and in America. I don't know about Canada, but that's the sort of thing that I'd aspire to. It's not just brilliantly acted, it's brilliantly written. I've got all the scripts.
Oh.
My husband bought me them as you know, they're available on Faber Books, and I'm going through the episodes from the beginning and then reading the script. It's just really good fun.
Yes, and before we go on, Miss Tina, I want to shout out to the people listening in New Zealand. Thank you so much. In Auckland, I get 43%, Wellington at 20%, Canterbury at 16%, Bay of Plenty at 8%, Nelson at 6%, Waikato at 5%, Taranaki at 1%, Southland at 1%, and last but not the least, Northland at 1%. Thank you so much, New Zealand, for listening to my podcast, because this podcast is created to empower writers all over the world.
Yes.
Like
Woo-hoo.
Miss Tina Baker. So, Miss Tina, what is the best highlight of Make Me Clean?
Oh, the best highlight. That's up to the readers. Once you've written a book, it's not yours anymore. It is the readers. So in the reviews that have come in so far, people really love the old lady with Alzheimer's. And I've worked, I used to teach Keep Fit to people with dementia and Alzheimer's. And I love old people. I am an old people, but you know, I've taught people. My oldest personal training client is 90, and I do sessions with her every week on Zoom. So I've worked in the community with a lot of people who've got dementia and Alzheimer's, and I've worked for charities who deal with that. And so that has been the reader's highlight, to get to know perhaps somebody there, you know, unless it's in your family, it might be not something you've thought about or you've come across. And there's a lot of humor involved. It's tragic, but actually it's quite funny as well. And I love that character as well. Like myself, she's got cats, and she's quite a naughty old lady because, again, people like look at older people and they've got this sort of stereotype, and she's not like that at all. She's quite naughty and fun-loving. So that has been what other people have said. I think it's a bit arrogant to say, "Oh, this is the highlight of my book." I've got this thing that I don't think British people sit comfortably bragging.
Yes.
We don't do it naturally. So I'll leave it to other people to brag for me.
Yes, definitely, Miss Tina.
If they didn't, they would let you know. They wouldn't pretend.
Yes, yes. Honesty. At your age, Miss Tina, honesty is the best policy.
It is. It is. Also, I'd forget a lie. So I'm one of these people. I don't have a poker face. What you see is what you get. I'm not very good at schmoozing people I don't like. And I'm quite blunt. I think that's my background. So I love a bit of honesty. I don't mean being cruel or unkind. I just mean being honest.
Yes. So, Miss Tina, make me clean. Let's talk about the main character.
So Maria's my main character. She's a very similar background, working class, but she marries into the gypsy community. So my mum married out of the fairground community. People think they're the same, they're not. But I wanted to get a bit about the travelling community in. And it's not a happy marriage. Also, they go travelling to Spain, and that's where my brother lives now. So it's a part of Spain that not a lot of people necessarily know, in near Bilbao in the mountains there. And she's a basically honest person, I think, and she does her best. But there's some horrible circumstances. And one of the people she cleans for, apart from the old lady, is quite a shady character. And as the book develops, you're not sure if he's really dangerous or if he really likes her or if he's a murderer, really. So it's her negotiating her way through North London homes and flats, cleaning for people, and the plot develops through that.
Yes. So, make me clean. What are your struggles in writing way?
Well, my struggles are nearly always me. It's my mental attitude. So nearly always I'm second guessing myself, panicking. I have anxiety. I take medication for my anxiety. I know a lot of writers who struggle with various depression, anxiety, imposter syndrome, the usual thing. And that's been from a child. I manage it quite well. So, I can go out to work. It's not that bad. But during lockdown and shielding, I have quite bad asthma. And so I was shielding, trying not to go out. After you've done a couple of years of that, it's quite hard to go back out. So I'm getting over that, each week I'm trying to make myself now go to different places. And I've been to a book launch, a friend's book launch. I've never had a book launch, partly because, as I say, my first two were out and the bookshops weren't open, or I couldn't do it because I was told to keep away from people because nobody wanted me to get COVID with the state of my lungs, even though I'm quite fit, even though I'm very fit for my age and I teach Keep Fit. I inherited dodgy lungs, so you've still got to take care of yourself. But yeah, all the struggles that you say, I think are quite minor compared with most people's struggles. Like everybody, I worry about money. I worry about pretty much everything. And I get very depressed when I watch the news these days, because I just think, surely we need to be kinder. And I'm not just saying it as a one size fits all, because I get angry, I get frustrated, but try and just be a bit nice.
Yes.
That sounds pathetic, but I think you know what I mean. And it's the hardest for like somebody, your neighbor or somebody you work with. It's not like you've got to be universally kind. It's the tough stuff. When somebody's giving you a hard time, not biting back and swearing at them, or if you're driving, not sort of cutting up somebody or all of that. Anyway, I'm not driving anymore. I had to sell my car because one of my cats had to have 2 life-saving operations. So I sold my
Oh,
car. I now walk to work. So it's, the advantage of that is I'm fitter.
yes, definitely. And saving the Mother Earth for the climate change. Don't buy
Yes,
car too much,
absolutely.
people. Yes.
Absolutely.
Don't buy too much car, people. Or if you buy instead the ordinary car, use the electric car, people.
Yeah, or a cycle
A cycle,
or
yes.
yeah, and walking's good for you. And it's sort of that's good for your brain as well. It calms me.
Definitely. So, Miss Tina, can you please invite our listeners to buy all your books?
Yes, I mean, I've no idea how you do it in Canada. I'll be very honest. I just like chatting, but it is available on Amazon in the UK, and I will let you know as soon as it's available in bookshops in Canada and in America. But it is available, via independent bookshops. They can get it for you, and on ebook readers like Apple and Kindle and Kobo and things. I don't even know if any of them are international. But yes, that would be nice. I know it's available at airports, but you have to seek them out. It's like any independent book. It's like, yeah, just sort of go on Amazon, look me up, and if you know a better way of doing it, let me know, because I'm not very good on the sales side. I've got a nice publisher, and that's the main thing for me. And as I say, it was on Kindle and it was a #1, so I'm assuming you can get it.
Yes, Kindle Unlimited. And according to Amazon, Miss Tina, you had a 166 global ratings and they give you 57% 5 star.
Oh, that's nice. Do you know, I'm
Mm.
not very good on numbers and percentages, but I know it's out there.
Yes. It's a one of a kind book, so let's support Miss Tina Baker.
Thank you.
Make me clean, and we're gonna talk about your best selling Call Me Mommy.
Yes.
Yes, so Miss Tina, thank you for your time.
And thank you. It's been lovely chatting to you, and I'll speak to you next week, love.
Likewise. Lovely
All right.
talking to you. And Morrigan people, see you soon.